So welcome to this session of the CET 14.0 QA Testing Guide webinar. So my name is Herng. I am a senior QA analyst located in the Sweden office. So as how we usually do this, we'll have two presenters in the session. So myself and my colleague, Bryan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bryan, based in the KL office. I'm a QA analyst. Back to you, Yiheng.
All right. So I will start with my part of the testing guide, and then Bryan will continue with the rest. So to make it a smooth presentation, we'll have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Also, you can note down all the questions you have and use the chat. Yeah, type in your question in the chat and we will answer it, during the Q&A session. So, okay, let's start. So before going into the details, some note. Always check with your developers if they've already done the migration changes to the new CET core version before you started testing. Okay, first we will cover on the new changes on the extensions. So what I will cover is first about paper space improvement, and then there's a fix about a scale image, and then regarding PDF canvas and pixel device. Lastly about reconfiguration tools. So first about the paper space improvements. So we have two improvements made here. So the first one is related to the view clip performance. So the developers implemented a fix to the image snapper function where it causes substantial performance concern when it is stretched or scaled, followed by an undo or redo operation. So this in contrast affects the wheel clip rectangle when it is stretched or scaled when you are working on it in the edit view mode to snip an area in the 2D drawing space in the process of creating the report in the paper view. So to ensure that this does not introduce any new defect, we recommended the following test instructions. So the first one, by using your manufacturer's extension, create a simple drawing, and then go to paper view, place a 2D wheel clip on an empty paper. In the edit wheel clip mode, stretch the wheel clip border back and forth, and to ensure it does not cause performance issue, and it does not feel slower than before. And then in the quick properties, try changing to different scales, custom or free scales value, and make sure that it does not lag in the process. When navigating back into the paper space, ensure that the snip area is still accurate. Next is the second improvement we have done to paper space. This one is regarding paper numbering order. So this is a fix done to the page numbering order for auto papers. So currently there's a chances where the numbering order will not go in sequence in multiple paper are selected and duplicated. So if your manufacturer's extension has auto papers, we strongly recommend it to follow these testing instructions. So first one, by using your manufacturer extension, create automatic manufacturer papers. Check that the numbering order is correct. Then select multiple papers in between. Click on copy selected paper. This step can be performed in the paper queue directly or in the paper manager. After the paper are copied, ensure that the numbering order is correct. Also try dragging papers to sort, and the numbering order should also be corrected. Yeah, the screenshot shows the issue where you can see that the numbering is not in order. All right. So next one. This is a fix regarding scaled image. So it is also related to paper space. Yeah, this is a bug where undoing an image stretch will create a duplicate and then it freezes the original. So developers made a fix to an issue where stretching an image using any of its connectors and then undoing the stretch action creates a duplicate image and then it freezes the original. Yeah, making the original image unable to interact with. So it is crucial to test with your manufacturer's paper template. If it comes with image placeholder, do follow the following testing instructions to make sure that this is fixed on your end. Yep, so in Paperspace, place an image using the load image icon. So this can be found in the Tools component tab in Paperspace, and then you go to Image and the load image icon. Stretch the image by the connectors, and then undo the stretch once. Ensure the image is not duplicated and it is returned to the previous size. Also test with your manufacturer's template papers if you have any. Then repeat more testing by using the image, the load image tool icon in the drawing space. So it will be in the tools tab as well. So, and then you repeat the test case above. Yeah, to ensure that in both drawing space and paper space, it is behaved correctly. Okay, let's move on to the next change. So next we have PDF canvas and pixel device. So the PDF export module has been improved where it became more precise in exporting as floating points are used when PDF is created each time. So when not using floating point and losing the position, the exported PDF could result in missing, unrecognizable lines, hence losing details and causing inaccurate scaling to the wheel clip, specifically evident in material handling drawing. So with this, a new PDF class, PDF canvas class, was rewritten to pair with PDF device class to make this possible. This will ensure that the PDF exported is accurate in terms of scale, 2D lines, and image. Yeah. If you wanted to know more in-depth technical details, do refer to the CET 14.0 Developer Migration Guide. Yeah. And over at the bottom, we have an image. So this is an example of one of the issues caused by this when we are not using floating points. So you can see that the border, where the arrow is pointed, yeah, the left side is on the paper space and the right side is on the exported PDF. So you can see that the border shrink, it should be wider, but the exported PDF has a narrower green border. Yeah, so this is fixed with the new changes. All right, so to ensure no changes of behavior is introduced with this, we recommend the following test instructions. So perform a PDF export through one of the 3 steps or 3 ways below. The first one is through File, Import and Export, and then Export PDF, Export Drawing, and then export it to PDF. The second one is in Paperspace, where you use print report dialogs and create an Adobe PDF documents. The third one is using the paper view tools, and then you click on export and then export the papers to PDF. Yeah. Do verify the exported PDF against your paper to ensure that the results are accurate. You can also use a preferred drawing. Compare the PDF generation output by using the PDF diff tool in QA tools to ensure no unintended changes occurred. All right, so the last changes that I will cover is related to CUSTOM.RECONFIG. So this is related to the reconfiguration tool. So in CET 14.0, developer fixed an issue where the drawing parts are now retained correctly when it is loaded into the reconfiguration tool. So this will ensure that the article views, that the article views column in the reconfig can be sorted, although it has been adjusted. Yep, so do follow the recommended smoke test instructions. By using your manufacturer extension, load reconfig file into reconfiguration tool. Click on either the proposed or existing block in the flowchart, and verify that the part number or description or comments column can be sorted. Yeah, you can refer to the animation shown for an example. Yeah, do take note that the article view might already have a sorting set before loading into the reconfiguration tool. Yeah, if this is the case, then you need to uncheck all this by opening the view settings in the article view and go to sorting, and then uncheck any sort settings that has been applied to your article view. Yeah, and then it will be able to sort correctly. All right, next we will head over to the CET 14.0 new features. So I will cover 3 new features that we have in the new release. So it's the first one, we have project information, and then we have new REVIT export dialog, and the last one we have select IFC foot move. Yep. First, we have new features from project information. Yeah. So for the ease of quick update to your project information, the top notes and shipping notes can now be updated on the go in the variable selection dialog. Yeah, in the data field, without needed to open the actual project info dialog in the drawing space. So before that, when you go into the project variable field, like what you see in the animation, you can't make changes in the top note and the shipping note. So this is now made possible. So do take note that this may not affect some manufacturers as they have their own customized project info fields. However, this can come in handy for manufacturers extension which are relying on the CET core project information. Yeah, so if you are using the CET core project info and wanted to try this out, yeah, do follow the recommended steps. So in drawing space or the paper view, place a data field snapper in empty space in your paper, and then double click it to open the variable selections dialog. And then by expanding the hierarchy to project variables, project info, order notes, and then you'll find top notes or shipping notes. the entries for these fields are taken directly from project info dialog. So you have to ensure that these fields can be edited and registered when the variable selection dialog is closed. And when generating print preview or PDF report, the registered value should reflect. Yeah, also try to save and load your drawing, and it should retain the saved value. All right, next new features is regarding the new REVIT layout export dialog. Yeah, so REVIT layout export has always been a one-off where filtering or making changes before exporting was never an option. So we have made improvement on to the export layout to REVIT function, where it now opens up a dialog for different preferences. Yeah. On top of being able to filter, there are options now to export to different level of details, snap object as a group, or even textures from CET. And also the export architectural object from CET to REVIT feature has been moved from the general settings to family settings. So since REVIT layout export could filter walls and architectural objects via filter settings, so previously this export setting, which is under the general settings, used to apply to both family files and layout export. Yeah, but right now the filter can control this. So it has been moved to family settings to make it applicable to family files. Yeah, so the one highlighted there, the export architectural objects from CET to REVIT has been moved from general to family settings. All right. So to try this out, using your manufacturer extensions, make a simple drawing, and then in the RefLink extension toolbox, click on the Export Layout to REVIT button. And then in the REVIT Export REVIT Layout dialog, try applying the filter to show and hide some parts of your drawing. And when imported into REVIT, the hidden parts should not be shown. Also try exporting your drawing in multiple LOD levels. The number of triangles should reduce or increase depending on the levels selected. Verify the rendered accuracy of your snappers in REVIT and ensure that this is not affected. You can also try export your drawing with export texture from CET. Yeah, this feature will inherit the texture from CET, and it should be visible and accurate when the exported layout is imported into REVIT. Exporting a RefLink with export snap object as a group should also work, where the snap part should be treated as a single object, shown highlighted when imported into REVIT as well. Okay, so the last new feature that I will cover is the select IFC for move. In CET 14.0, the IFC module now has a new feature where it allows the entire imported IFC snapper to be relocated in CET with this. So we have added a button called Select IFC for Move. So there are often circumstances where designers has to match the coordinates of the imported IFC floor plan against CET snappers, which they work on earlier, before the floor plan is available. So relocating the CET snappers one by one to match the coordinates would be inconvenient and it may lose some positions in the process. Hence, this feature allows the entire IFC floor plan or layout to be relocated conveniently. In the IFC interface extension toolbox, there's now a new button called the Select IFC for Move, which can be clicked on and to move the imported IFC objects. So the animation on the right shows a quick demonstration where the entire IFC floor plan was moved to match the CET snappers. So using the new selected IFC for move feature, the entire floor plan can be moved conveniently to match the other objects on the drawing. There will be no test instructions for these new features because how this has been used or how this will be used very largely dependent on the users. All right, that is all that I have. So now we'll move to the next part, to Bryan.
Okay, thanks, Herng. I will
right.
start sharing my screen. I think you need to stop yours. Okay, it's stopped.
Yes, I stopped.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Herng, I'd like to confirm, are you seeing my screen, the PowerPoint slide?
Yes, I'm seeing your slides.
Okay, you're not seeing the control page of the slides, right? You're seeing the actual slides itself. This one.
Yes. Yep,
Okay.
I'm seeing the actual slides. Yep.
Okay, sure. Okay, I'm Bryan. I'll be continuing with the second half of the presentation. Likewise, I will be covering the changes on the extensions and also the new features. Okay, now for the changes on the extensions, I will be covering Abstract Office, Material Lab, Floating Point Rounding Behavior, and also Abstract Material Handling. But we'll see more in a bit. Okay, so for the first one, it is a CM.ABSTRACT.OFFICE. Now, what's new here? There isn't anything new, but developers made a fix to the Abstract Office because there used to be an issue with updating tiles on panels. So this includes adding, removing, changing the materials, and other specific manufacturer extension specific features related to your tiles. So sometimes it just won't refresh. It is the issue with updating tiles. It can be materials, it can be features. And it's very important to make sure that it works with your extension. Now, it works fine. Now, these are the test instructions. Now, using your manufacturer extension, place panels in the drawing space. Okay, ensure that creating or removing tiles are possible. Okay, so this is an example that I've used using the Figure Office extension. The individual tile stream materials features should be able to switch with ease in the QP or in the scheme manager if your manufacturer extension has schemes, prop schemes. Now ensure all of these actions, they should reflect immediately in 2D and 3D. Also verify that the tiles they are updated with the more recent changes done. Okay, they should not be outdated, they should be updated. Going a mile further, you can stretch the panels and ensure that the tile properties they are retained. And you can do copy and paste just to make sure it duplicates with the correct properties. And if you make changes to the duplicated copy, it should reflect instantly as well. And you can also try save and load drawing just to ensure that the tiles are shown correctly with its features and materials that was set in the quick properties, just to make sure that they're in the latest state. Okay, moving on, we have Material Lab. Now, we've actually talked about targeting to release new PBR material packs for each industries. Okay, we have CI, we have kitchen and bath, we have material handling, but now we're rolling out PBR material pack for material handling industry. So this uses PBR materials. If you want to use it, please make sure you have the license for this PBR material pack. So you can look it up on the marketplace, then you should be able to find the material pack for material handling. Now, there are also some code changes related to the addition to this new material pack. So with that, please follow the test instructions. Now, make sure by using your manufacturer extension, changing to different materials in the create properties of scheme manager, make sure they look correct as before. There should be no unintended changes. Please wash out in 2D and 3D as we change the materials, just to make sure they are reflected correctly and accurately. Next up, you can perform a rendering, ensure that the materials, they still look as accurate. Save and load new and existing drawing, just to make sure there are no unintended visual changes. So basically what you're making sure is you've set your snapper to this material and make sure it stays like that and not changes to anything else as you save and load your drawing. Oops. You can also create your customer-owned materials if your manufacturer extension uses customer-owned materials, COM. You can try that out just to ensure that they still work. Now, COM, it looks something like this. Customer-owned materials. Now, next up, floating point rounding. This is actually not something new in CT 14.0, but this wasn't mentioned in the previous migration guides. So we're covering this in CT 14.0 migration. So this actually comes from the version 2004. It's from a Windows 10 update. So what's this going to change is basically Windows roll out a Windows 10 update so that the floating point rounding can be in line with the IEEE 754 floating point standard. Now, I'm not going to be covering the technical details around this and what will be changed. For that, you can always visit the CT 14.0 developer migration guide for a more detailed explanation. But basically, this affects all methods that converts a floating point number into the string. So with that, you need to check anything that's related to floating point rounding in CT. But we've narrowed it down for you. Now, by following these test instructions, using your manufacturer extension, ensure that the floating point numbers, they are precise for the snapper's dimensions. Now, for extra assurance, you can check against the product specifications just to make sure it doesn't change or give an accuracy in terms of rounding up numbers. And by stretching the snapper's length, width, and height, as you can see here, I'm using an example, a commercial interior example using Figure Office. So as you stretch, there's an animation property. Please make sure that the real-time update of numbers, they are accurate. They do not turn into something else. Please make sure that this number, this update over here, it is accurate as before. Ensure that the product dimensions are accurate in both elevation view and elevation view document. I believe some manufacturer extensions, they have highly customized manufacturer papers, which some they do have special elevation view documents, which actually describes the panel's elevations in a more detailed manner compared to what we have in the abstract. So if you have that, please check that the elevation view dimensions, they are accurate. Also, please check the pricing of the snappers in the BO material, just to ensure you don't lose a cent. So basically, there should be no differences as you compare against CT 13.5. Okay, moving on, we have material handling abstract. Now in CT 14.0, there has been a lot of changes for code maintenance. It is mainly for code maintenance. With that, there's a lot of renaming of different classes to the engine and also behavior. So it's very important to make sure that our manufacturer handling abstract manufacturers should not face any defects after they've migrated to CT 14.0. Now, this only applies to the material handling abstract manufacturers, which they are on the new material handling abstract and not the old one. Now, if you're not from material handling abstract, you can skip this section while you're testing after you have migrated to CT 14.0. So with the code maintenance, we highly recommend following these test instructions just to make sure the functionalities, all of these functionalities still work for you. Now I'm going to be going through each of it by using a racking configurator. You ensure that the flue gap for row it's configurable and it works good as before. Then you can also try updating the different properties, which is the thickness, distance, and offset, if your manufacturer extension allows it. Now, some of the namings of this functionalities, it may differ according to it is very depending on your manufacturer extension, because for material handling there are a lot of different terminologies, but this is what we've gotten from the essential pallet racking, which is the new material handling abstract extension. Now please check the flue gap and by using the racking configurator, try updating the different properties, make sure it works. Then next up, check if the unit load editor works for you. Try adding a customized unit load, ensure it can be applied. Now that if is your manufacturer extension has one. Ensure all of the configurator, that would be racking, unit load, bay, and frame presets can be saved and loaded. Then ensure you can insert different row layouts of pair racking. So you should be covering these formats. Verify that you can also stretch all of the racking conveyor points in terms of width, height, and depth. Ensure it populates correctly and the changes are reflected immediately. Now, if your manufacturer extension has collision feature implemented, so basically when one pallet racking, it collides with another as you stretch, ensure that there are obstacles or snapper that gets in the way, then there will be collision that happens if your manufacturer extension has collision feature implemented. And try to modify properties within the pallet racking, ensure that the spread function works. Basically, you pick up the modified properties from the pallet racking, then you can try spreading it across some different methods. You want to spread it to a single method, or by bay, or by row, column, or the entire system of the pallet racking. And check if your accessories work as well. Basically, you should have these protectors that protects the edges of the upright beams, and make sure that they can snap onto the frames correctly. Now, if your manufacturer extension has this option, check if the load can be put on the floor. Okay, so that's it for the material handling abstract. So moving on, I'm going to be covering the new features in CT 14.0, and that would be the new catalog downloader and also material handling categories. Now, a new feature in CT 14.0, one of it is the catalog downloader. Now, we pretty much revamped the catalog downloader, all right? So that gives us a refresh user interface with important information shown. But this is not made as the default downloader, as we're transitioning things really slow just to mitigate as much risk as possible. So how do you enable it? There'll be a new toggle in catalog section in control panel. So you fire up control panel, you go to the catalog section, and you should see this new toggle here to use the new downloader. So what happens if you tick? If you make a tick, then a new icon will appear in the Windows taskbar, which is a catalog downloader. But after you have ticked to switch to the new downloader, a restart CET is highly recommended, for a complete switch. So how does that look like? It looks something like this. All right, now referring to the new animation, the all new user interface now has the ongoing and completed downloads. The ongoing and completed downloads. So as you can see here in the animation, I am downloading. Okay, I'm just gonna let it restart. Okay, I'm downloading characters and also medical accessories. So once it has completed its downloads, it should be transferred to the section called complete recently completed. So looking at the sidebar here, you have information of how many catalogs that you are downloading right now, your internet speeds, the download speed. Now the download speed, it varies from user to user because it depends on your network infrastructure. It depends on your network speed that you have. All right. And you also have something called catalog failed. So in case a catalog portfolio that fails its download, so it'll be situated here, there'll be a count, then you can turn the attention to your developer. Just to make sure if there's anything wrong with the portfolio that needs a restart or something. And you're also able to switch catalog download priority. Okay, we'll see that in a bit. Now you can also try testing the new catalog downloader with your manufacturer extension. Okay, you can simulate catalog downloads, ensure that your catalogs can be successfully downloaded using the new catalog downloader. And this is really important. Ensure that the download speed of the new catalog downloader, it matches the network speed that you have. And it is not slower when compared to the old one. Okay, you can do a quick switch back to the old one and just to compare the download speeds, just to make sure that it's not slower than before. Now to simulate catalog downloads, you can ask for your developer's help. You can delete the catalog folder in the download location, or you can also try adding a new catalog extension. Then that will simulate a catalog download. And next one, you can make sure that the catalog download priority switch works for you, and the downloads can be paused as well. Now, this is also a new feature that we haven't had before. So previously, if you're downloading a catalog, if you wish to pause, there's literally no option to do that. Okay, by looking at this animation right here, I am downloading. Okay, just gonna let it restart. Okay, this is pause. I resume. Okay, I switch my priority. I wanted to download Office accessories first. Then I can just drag by clicking on this option button and stretch all the way to the top. So that prioritizes the download of whatever's at the top. So when the download they are completed, okay, catalog downloads are completed, ensure that the model and graphics, they are accurate when the catalog snapper is placed in the drawing space. Ensure that the AP, the animation and quick properties, AP and QP, it works for materials and also other features. Now, this is also very important to make sure that the catalog that have been downloaded, it can stretch flawlessly. Okay, there should not be any missing model graphics. So that ensures that your catalog has been properly downloaded. Now, if you place a catalog snapper before the download is completed or even during the download, Okay, if you're not a new CT user, you might experience something called an unknown box in your component tab, both in your component tab and also in drawing space. That means your download has not been completed. But after the download has been completed, ensure that it refreshes both the component tab and also the snapper so that it becomes the full-fledged product icon and also model graphics. So this should refresh both the component tab and also the drawing space, the snapper in the drawing space. Next up, again, this is affecting material handling manufacturer extensions only. That is on the new material handling abstract. Now, what is new here? As you can see in the categorization dialog, material handling manufacturers, they are not allowed to select the subcategories for different components. Okay, so you have different components which you can assign categories to them. So previously in 13.5, basically there's no expansion to this. There are no subcategories. It is just material handling, storage, and that's it. So now you can assign categories to the different components. It gives you a little bit of that flexibility to how you want to adjust your visibility so that you can have different visibility preferences and different visibility controls based on these different subcategories that you can manually assign to. To test instructions, open the category dialog from the tools menu. Ensure that the category can be expanded for material handling storage. Now, once expanded, the subcategories comprises of different components. Ensure you can assign by tick or untick. Now, please verify that the selected count, it works, it responds to changes. So you have a really large palette ranking that you're assigning to, then it should be of a higher count based on your selection. Next up, make sure that save and load drawing, it should ensure what you have done here, the tick and untick categories, they are remembered. Okay, we're pretty much done with the webinar, but there's a reminder to every one of you, which is performance. Now, performance plays a very important role that actually affects CT usability experience after you have migrated to 14.0. As we add more enhancement, more new features, then we take really strict consideration in terms of performance. We want to make sure that you're not affected in terms of performance. That's why we recommend a basic checklist for all the manufacturer extensions to check. Okay, basic checklist. Basically, you can run a very simple memory leak test by using Task Manager. So again, this is a reminder. If you're not using any of the extensions, you can turn off the unused extensions, and that will contribute to faster CT startup. Now, basic memory tests by using Task Manager. Okay, this is the shortcut key to how you can open Task Manager. Look for CT Designer .exe executable under Processes tab. Please make sure that the memory consumption is not maxed out. Now, it should not be constantly 99%, 95%, basically above 95%. It should not be at that range constantly, and until a point, then CT freezes. Now, if you're facing any memory issues, which leads to really bad performance, you can report it to us at devsupport@configura.com. Another tool that you can use to check performance is by using Response Monitor. That is the QA Tools extension. Now, in case if you don't know already, this is a very handy tool that you can use to trace the time taken for your actions, the actions that you have done in a CT drawing space. You can compare between the old and new just to make sure whatever you've done, the new actions, it is not slower than before. Now, these are the areas that you can check as well. This is what we recommend. Some basic checklists areas. You can check your system startup time. You can check the first snapper placement and subsequent continuous placement just to make sure it is not slow. Stretching, just to check if it's smooth and it should not be sluggish. Check copy and paste, check creating alternatives, check the time taken for save and load drawing, and also check the time taken for material application. In AP, QP, COM, and also in the scheme dialog. Report it to dev support at configura.com if you find any performance issues. We're ready to help. Okay, we've come to the end of the CET 14.0 testing migration webinar. So we wish you all the best in your CET 14.0 migration. We actually have a question in the chat, I believe. Okay, so Prakash asked a question. Should the changes made in a copy instant affect the source tiles as well? Okay, let's go back to slide 1. Okay, so this is regarding the panels and tiles. Prakash asked a question, should the changes made in copied instant affect the source tiles as well? I would say yes. Okay, copy and paste the existing panel layout and ensure changes done. Yep, so when you copy and paste the existing panel layouts, it should duplicate what it has. So for example, if you have a red panel, then if you duplicate, whatever the tiles that is shown, it should be duplicated as well. Okay, thanks, Prakash. Can I get questions from anyone? If anyone have any questions? Oops. You can ask questions related to my topics or Herng's topics as well.
Yep, for your information, the CET 14.0 QA testing guide is now available on our help center. Yeah, so feel free to go in there and then read through all the changes that we have covered in our presentation today.
Now, if you'd like to watch the recording, it'll be up on YouTube, and the link to the YouTube video will be posted in the article within a few working days. So please come back in the next few working days. There'll be a video to this recording of this testing webinar.
Yep, and also we'll have a migration workshop. Yeah, starting next Monday, and it will run for consecutively 4 weeks. Yeah,
precisely,
so you can.
It starts on the 27th of March up until 17th of April. Now, in the migration workshops, you can join us as we post updates related to the dev migration and also the QA testing topic areas, if there's any. And you can also come in and join us to ask questions if you have any difficulties during your 14.0 migration.
Yeah,
do you have anything to add, Herng? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there will be representative from developer support and also QA support in the workshop. Yeah, so you can reach out to either developer or QA. Yeah, in that session.
Yep, I think that's it. There are no, we don't receive any questions from anyone at this point. Now, if you do have any questions after the webinar, please reach out to us at QAsupport@configura.com. And these are some really useful guides, links to the guides that you can refer to. You can they are all in the help center, the testing guide, the set testing tool manuals, QA tools testing manual, general smoke test guidelines. And if you like, you can refer to the older QA testing guides as well. Do you have anything here to add on top of that?
Yeah,
No?
I think we are good.
Yep, we're all set. We wish you all the best in your CET 14.0 migration. We'll see you again in CET 14.5 migration testing webinar.